Hello, Mallards. It is Wednesday. It's actually late in the evening on Wednesday. I did have a doctor's appointment today with what will become my primary care provider, hopefully. I liked her, so I'm hoping that that relationship will continue. And then Dad and I watched a new movie on Apple TV called The Gorge. And it is the premise of the film. There will be spoilers like crazy in this video. So if you want to watch it, and it's very new, it came out like last weekend, then I would suggest that you don't watch this video because I'm going to spoil everything. But the premise is that these two assassins, sharpshooters, are like one from the US and one, she's not Russian, but from Russian intelligence, are sent to opposite sides of this gorge to guard it. And they're set up to be there for a year, no contact, and they're told that their job is to keep whatever's in the gorge from coming out. And that is the premise of the film. In true fashion, of course, because it's a cute girl and a cute guy on opposite sides of this giant gorge, they break all of the rules, like basically immediately. I guess not immediately. They maybe last like a month, but they talk to each other by like using the binoculars to like look over at the other side and communicating through notes and flirt back and forth and have nice communication and start to build a relationship with each other. And it's very sweet. And also, I'm really of the opinion that if you didn't want them talking to each other, why did you give them binoculars that would allow them to completely see each other? I mean, the answer is because they expect you to be like loyal to your side and like report on what the other person is doing. But like, I've watched enough of these movies to know that if you leave people alone, they'll talk to anybody. Like, there's no such thing as enemies when you're in solitary. There is just another human you could communicate with. I don't know why people don't figure that out. I really don't know why people don't figure that out. They lasted much longer than I would have. I would have been communicating with that person immediately. First off, don't ever send me on those assignments. Like, could I potentially be a good candidate for those assignments? Yeah, maybe. Like somebody who is not married, does not have children, doesn't have familial connections like that, is tired apparently. But I'm an extreme extrovert and I would not last. Also, almost immediately at the beginning of the film, the American guy, like the guy that he is replacing, gets picked up by the helicopter, and then they're like, confirm who you are, and he confirms who he is, and then they shoot him in the head. So we knew from the get that this 1-year assignment is also a 1-year death sentence. And so they're having their cute moment where they're getting to know each other, and then he eventually shoots a rope across the gorge so that he can come visit, and they spend a beautiful night together, or maybe a couple of nights, unclear. Timing, a little unclear in a couple of points, but he comes across, they dance, they're really cute, they sleep together, like it's sweet. And then on his way back across, the rope breaks and he falls into the gorge. And she immediately jumps in after him. And then things get interesting. So what we've sort of known is that there were creatures in these gorge they call the Hollow Men, which comes from a T.S. Eliot poem, and that they've got sort of a I don't know, we saw them climbing and they have like sort of like a plant vibe. But then when you get down in the gorge, you actually see them, and they are like, they're definitely people, but they're made up a lot of like twisted vines and tree pieces and other plant pieces. Sometimes they're like animals or bugs that they kind of resemble. And I thought that the monsters themselves were interesting and kind of fun. And like, it's not just the people, there were like horses, because like a whole cavalry was sent down there and none of them survived in the 40s, and none of them came back out, but they clearly all got turned into these hybrids and they're still alive, which is wild. And then when they get down there, I really liked the colors. So there's like a yellow area and like a purple area and like this bluish greenish area, and they like travel through kind of different layers of smog, I guess. But I liked the way things were colored and this kind of progression as they move. I really liked the monsters and the way that they were done, like the hollow men and the fighting of them, and sort of their like mixture of intelligence but also just bestial energy, because they don't talk, but they clearly like can plan and set traps and like do stuff like that. And so that was interesting too. And then discovering that those were the people from the 40s was interesting. And then they found a whole town, which I did not expect. And so you get to know like the story of the gorge, and they'd been like, it's a portal to hell. And I had thought, okay, well, maybe it is, like, maybe it's just this place and we're leaning into like a supernatural bend, but we're not. We're going in the very classic, well-loved, well-troped, and still enjoyable, somebody let somebody do science. And so it turns out post-World War II, some people were building an atom bomb during World War II, and these people were building a biochemical weapon, and then an earthquake struck, and the end result was leakage that caused this mutation. And so then they get to learn that, and then they learn that they're not actually working for the American or Russian military. They are working for a private contractor who is studying these hybrids to still try and use that science, because greed, ladies and gentlemen, is the root of all evil. And I think that discovery was kind of cliche, but I was enjoying being along for the ride, and I really liked how they set things up and dropped them and how they sort of discovered stuff. And then they managed to make it out of the gorge. And obviously, the jig was a little bit up. They'd been found out, but they made their own plans for getting away. And it's a very romantic movie with a romantically happy ending. So if that's what you like, would recommend. I did feel a little bit like I didn't get as much satisfaction from the discovery of the science as I wish I had gotten. Like, it just ended up with them just like blowing up the gorge, essentially destroying it with a nuke. So that was, well, maybe not a nuke. Maybe just a warhead. Oh. Sorry for all the yawns. Maybe not a nuke, maybe just a warhead. But that felt a little unsatisfactory to me, because I kind of wanted something to grow out of that. But they did destroy the head of the private group who had like hired them. They got her killed. So that was cool. And like the ploy was predictable but fun, and a cute ending. But I do wish that there had been just like a little bit more with the experiments and what was actually in the gorge. But overall, I had a good time. And like I said, I thought the monsters were really cool. Like the whole time they were exploring, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like an interesting eerie horror element that I very much enjoyed. So if you like romance and you like slightly creepy plant horror, I think you'd enjoy this. So, good performances too. Check out The Gorge on Apple TV Plus. I'm not gonna edit this video, so enjoy all the yawns. I hope you liked them, and I'll see you tomorrow.